All right, so the big news coming in right now as hours are progressing. And remember, this is going to be the night very important for the USA. Donald Trump appears to be leading with 198 electoral votes. 270 is the majority mark. Kamala Harris, while also is leading in many of the states, but is lagging behind with about 99 votes. So that's the latest that we have come with the trends that are showing. Look at that. More and more details that are coming in. And this is very important. Remember, this shows that has Donald Trump managed a lead that possibly Kamala Harris cannot catch up to? Our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, my colleague Rohit Sharma also are on the ground tracking all the latest on that. But for now, Kamala Harris lagging behind with 99 votes and Donald Trump showing a lead with over 100. And that could act, in fact, almost 200 now. And that could decide if this has been a sweeping victory. But remember that there are many states where counting will still be on, and that will eventually decide who leads USA. Remember that the electoral votes, electoral college, so to say, as it is called, is very important because there is a popular vote, then there are the electoral votes. All of that eventually decide who has the support from the Congress, from the Senate. So it's a multi-phase elections when it comes to the United States of America. You're looking at how they need a majority mark. It's basically a 538 member body that elects a president. It's part of the Constitution in America. So there are states that they win, and then there is this majority figure mark of 270 that's basically required to decide the kind of sweep that has come in as well. All right, so that's the latest coming in. But from what we have been tracking, that there is a traditional red belt of the states, specifically in the South, that have voted, as has been tradition for Donald Trump, while most of the blue states, as they are called, which are supportive of the Democrat candidates, have gone the Democrat way. So that hasn't come as much of a surprise. But there have been surprises coming in with a very close margin in the 7 swing states. And that includes Arizona, North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and others. Let me immediately bring in Mr. Yogi Chugh, a national community leader. He's joining me from California. Mr. Chugh, I take that to you. Just help us understand, as Donald Trump appears to be taking more and more of a lead here, and Kamala Harris is lagging behind. Is it also a debate as much, do you feel, if America is ready for a woman president? They want to go with a familiar face like Donald Trump. What would one make of this lead? Because both these candidates were all guns charging, and metaphorically, of course, with regard to USA's elections. Mr. Chugh, your microphone. Mr. Chugh, your microphone, I think, is still on mute. You'll have to unmute that for us to hear you.
I said, full disclosure, I am a Democrat. I'm rooting for Kamala Harris to win. My support is not only for the fact that she's a great candidate, but there's something historic about the first woman. I think that message in America has resonated. But something interesting has happened in American politics right now. With the ascension that she had from Biden to being anointed as the nominee, and then a quick vote, but not going through an open primary, really has given the sense to people that she's been anointed. Now, assuming that for a moment you get over that fact, and on your segment I saw all of these Hollywood and influencers talk about the greatness of what a Kamala Harris candidacy means. This conversation literally, and I've said this before in the segment, has been about a reset of America. While reproductive rights has been at the forefront of the issue,
yes,
I think that when you take the issue further down, I think there is a concern about the economy. There's a direct concern about the future of our country. And I do think that Kamala Harris has become a victim to the 4 years of a Biden-Harris, where many people are looking back and saying that this administration has not addressed the questions. So while America is ready, it has really come down to the question about who is good for the next 4 years on the economy, the border, the endless wars that we're currently engaged in. Has got an edge that he had a track record on which in 4 years, we never went to war. And that's really what the dilemma is. But from America's perspective of a woman president, I think they were ready for that with Hillary Clinton. She lost. This was an opportunity. And while there is still a chance for her to win, because of what's going to happen in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and
Correct.
Michigan. I'm still optimistic, but all trends are indicating that President Trump is having a good night today.
But like you're mentioning, it's the swing states where it's still very close to call, and it's literally 49.8, 49.7%, and eventually those results will decide. Mr. Chugh, stay on with me, because I was also looking at how Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016 because of the Electoral College, George W. Bush in 2000. So it's not just simply about the results. I think there are multi-layers to when it comes to America's election, and importantly, who eventually leads. Tell me this, Mr. Chugh, what would it mean for an Indian American if Kamala Harris does win? Do you think, are we putting too much of an expectation on a woman who is aiming to become president, but we're putting too much of the Indianness on her, because that then raises the bar of what she will do in turn for the Indian Americans?
I think that as Indian Americans, there has to be a great sense of pride that today a president candidate is an Indian American descent. Granted, she's half African American and half of Indian descent,
yes,
but she is a part of our DNA. One of the conversations many of us have around this country is that the legitimacy of an immigrant community like ours is strengthened when we have political power. This is the highest office of the nation. Most important nation in the world. America matters, right? But along the way, this journey has been one of trepidation, right? We've had successes. We had 5 members of Congress. And today, you may or may not have noticed, but we just won another Indian American to the United States Congress from Virginia, Suhas Subramaniam. So this idea of a political voice and granting the highest office is important. And while many will be saddened by if Kamala Harris were not to win, I can assure you, her ascension in American politics will be an inspiration to so many more people. The American story today is that there's about 30 to 40 Indian American candidates who are running for office, whose names are not even mentioned tonight. But as the story unfolds in the next week, you're going to find that we're going to have a lot more successes. We might even have a congressional seat winning out of Arizona 1, which is another district. And as the Arizona number comes along, we are going to be looking at that very, very closely. But still, the historic nature, and I still believe Kamala Harris has a path to victory tonight, and these votes will be counted, and the margins will be razor thin. So let's not rule anybody out, but let's acknowledge that President Trump is having a good evening. But let's really understand what is happening, right? If you look at the decision desk, and you look at where the votes are leading, up and down, and even in your own comment, you mentioned that she was leading, then she came down, and then she's leading again. As these votes are coming in, as these votes are being counted, including the votes on election night, you're seeing that there's city pockets which are traditional Democrats. Then you're looking at rural votes. Rural votes are looking at this very, very different. They tend to be libertarian. They're looking back at the role of government. They're coming back and saying that the Democratic Party has encroached upon our civil liberties in a way that they've defined a new future for America, which I do agree with on many things, on the progressive values, such as taking care of the forgotten class and that income inequality is real. But Trump, on the other hand, is coming back and saying that while you're forgetting the forgotten class, let's not forget everybody else. You've got to take care of Americans. You've got to take care of our ability to ensure that we are not creating this problem of border where people are coming in and they're getting benefits that are being deprived to those that are living in this country. Housing affordability, our jobs. I think that coalition that President Trump has created is an unprecedented
You're saying is also important.
coalition.
While there's been a welcome to diversity, inclusivity, there's also this concern of should there be a certain limit, restriction, or perhaps a filter that I think has also connected, and that's what Donald Trump appears to have been focusing on. But eventually it will be what the American on the ground has decided. It's their leader, even though, of course, there will be consequences and repercussions of it, how that leader then interacts with the rest of the world and other nations, especially India. And I want to now thank Yogi Chugh for speaking to India today, giving your perspectives.